Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plan B Success. We have Kelvin Xuna with us today from Los Angeles. He's also in other places where he does something called artistic housing. That's the name of his company, Artistic Housing.
Artist housing.
Artist housing. And what he does with that is he provides a home to several actors, musicians, and other artists, probably one of the most affordable places out in Los Angeles. This is what's called the CoLiving movement. That's what he calls it. So let's find out all about that. So welcome, Kelvin.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me here. So where do I begin? So I started early. I joined the military at the age of 17, and as a combat engineer for the Army Corps. And I got out when I was 20 years old, and I started a path towards architecture. So I started studying architecture at the University of Colorado at Boulder, where I graduated with distinction. From there, I was accepted to Harvard University, where I kind of changed my focus a little bit into more real estate versus architecture. I would be hiring the architects versus doing the architecture. And I did that for financial reasons. A lot of my architecture friends from the University of Colorado were not doing as successful as they wanted. Being an architect is prestigious, but not everybody gets a successful career out of it. But with real estate, it's very entrepreneurial. It's how much you put in is how much you're going to get out. So when I went to Harvard, my focus of study was housing and urbanization, and that was the program that I was in, housing and urbanization, and I focused the study primarily on the real estate and development aspect of it. So all the way from, they pretty much taught me how to locate and find a parcel of land, like a vacant, a blank slate, if you will, and then find out the best uses to put on there versus whether it's commercial, residential, retail, industrial, maybe a mix of everything. And then they taught me, the best methods of applying it, how to build it from scratch, and how to start generating income from it. And that was awesome. It all made perfect sense to me and all that. So I went back to the real world out of school and started working for a firm in Florida as a property manager to kind of build my way up to that. However, I was pretty young at the time and thought I'm too young to just be working at a desk job. So I kind of had this, I've always had a passion for film and music. And I wanted to try to pursue that a little bit before I got stuck in the behind the desk job. So I moved to California to pitch this show called That Funny Show, which you can Google. However, I didn't get picked up, and I ended up falling back on what I knew, which is real estate. And obviously, I didn't have the finances to be buying and building. So I leased and then subleased. And so just any involvement in real estate, you can make money. That's why I preach to people. It's like real estate makes money in any which way you're involved with it. So I was just managing it. And it became pretty successful. I was able to lease properties and then immediately sublease them with no problem. Then I had a little bit of an epiphany to kind of bring together the film and music aspect of my desires, as well as the real estate background, and I put them together and made artist housing. So these rooms that I was allocating for people, I started kind of focusing it more for people involved in film or music. And that way we could all collaborate with one another and work on projects together and stuff. And it was a big success. We ended up getting a huge facility in downtown Los Angeles, and I closed down all my other locations, which were like kind of smaller units. So now we have two bigger facilities over there in Los Angeles, and I'm actually right now in Miami. We're shopping for some properties here to expand the business here. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt into it. In a way, when I was a student at the University of Colorado studying architecture, I was taking side courses in film and music and script writing and stuff, while I was designing architecture. So back then, even I had even one of my final projects was a film and music building for people involved in film or music. So it was interesting, and I kind of forgot about that until like 10 years later. I was going back looking at all my educational paperwork and stuff, and found that I was like, wow, I can't believe I just created the exact same thing I was like doing back then. With the architecture stuff, I learned a lot about space, how to use space efficiently and functional, how to design ergonomic and efficient functional spaces, minimizing space too, like, because designing for a future, we can't be all having a lot of space, with the human population just growing exponentially. We need to conserve the space a little bit for everybody. So I was exploring the concepts of minimalism and tiny homes back when it was not the big thing yet, and now it's all this craze about tiny homes and stuff. So I feel this co-living business model is like the future. It's because it can apply to anybody, not just people in film or music. The concept of bringing together a lot of people of shared common interest and having them collaborate with one another and providing them the resources to achieve those goals can be applied across a spectrum of different career types, and different types of just interest. So this business model I feel it could disrupt the housing crisis, because not only it helps so many people in this way to help them in their career paths, but also it provides it's hard to get confirmation of this, but my company has consistently provided the most affordable housing in Los Angeles for over 10 years. And it's hard to get some sort of proof of that, but I mean, I have Craigslist ads going back 10 years showing, that we did have those prices. And now that co-living, there's a lot of companies that are starting co-living now. It's not such a unique idea anymore, but I was one of the pioneers of this. So I consider myself kind of one of the authorities in this business. I know all about it. I've been dealing with these tenants issues and hurdles. I've seen a lot. I've seen everything almost. And but yeah, I guess that's.
When you talk about artistic housing and then co-living for artists, can you kind of walk us through how does that really work?
So it's just like a facility. It's like an incubator, if you will, for people to. So they have a place to sleep and then a place to work, live workspace, but a little bit more elaborate than that. We have state-of-the-art facility with state-of-the-art equipment and stuff, and it would be ideal for the properties to have a wide variety of types of accommodations, but none of them to be private apartments or private studios. No, we sell the community. So we provide like shared rooms. We provide private rooms with private bathrooms, private rooms with shared bathrooms, and so forth, to provide for more of a wide variety of people with different budgets. Because there is a lot of starving artists out there that can't afford much and would be willing to pay for a bunk bed inside a 10-person dorm in order to be within this facility. and they benefit a lot from one another. At the beginning, I was involved in trying to make events for them to network and and share their resources with one another. But then after a while, it just started happening organically, and this people started just working on projects together on their own. And it's pretty cool side benefit to um, the profitability of the business and stuff. It's really cool to see these guys create like magic, I would say. Uh, yeah. So going back to your question, how it kind of looks for it. So the facility just has a lot of different spaces. So the one in downtown Los Angeles, our flagship place, we have a green screen room, music rehearsal space, a sound recording booth. We also have a theater room for debuts of their projects. Um, and then we have two large offices where they're kind of like have cubicle desks where they can sit and just work with. And I know internet's super fast or super important for these guys. So our internet's like the best on the market that we can get. And so that's about it. And then there's another room for hanging out, so they can chill out. Um, but yeah, and then so mhm.
How many people? How many people live in these
that
facilities?
that location has 36. Some of my competitors are, and it's like 8,000 square feet. And some of my competitors are fitting like hundreds of people into like single family houses and stuff, and they're doing that illegally. And I don't think it's fair because I have to pay for permits and all kinds of fees and costs associated to managing the business. And there's a lot of anybody can do this from their backyard. You just rent a house and just put a bunch of people in it. But there's certain criteria you have to follow. Certain cities require only 6 people, six unrelated people can be within the house. Los Angeles is not that strict though, because they're experiencing a major housing crisis. But each department has different requirements, and it's kind of hard to apply any of the authorities if it's not from internal. So let me explain. Like the health department, I think is like 10 people per bathroom is their maximum occupancy. Uh, the fire department is just based off of whatever the building and safety department says. Housing department is I think they only respond the housing. So the housing department only responds to if there is a tenant involved in the matter. So if you evict a tenant and they become retaliatory and try to bring up problems, then the housing department gets involved, and but they don't have a specific criteria. So, but yeah, so I'd suggest for anybody trying to do this to just do it legally and not just stuff 50 to 100 people inside a single family house inside a neighborhood that's not meant for that. It should be done accordingly.
Were there any challenges that you faced during this pandemic time?
Oh yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot. As you can imagine, the tenants are all artists, and so the COVID pandemic affected them very much so, and in turn it affected the income, because Los Angeles gave them over a year of rent moratorium, eviction moratorium. So I was not able to evict anybody, and still unable to evict anybody until the end of June. Yeah, there's a couple of tenants there that just haven't paid, um, and and their bills are becoming pretty big. My attorneys say, and then so after the moratorium ends, they're only supposed to pay only 25% of what they owe, or they have to move out. And then that other 75%, I have to sue them for after a year. And so to sue them, I have to physically serve them. I gotta go find them where they're living, and where their new place is, and try to try to find out when they're leaving the property or something, because I'm sure they're not going to be um, willing to accept the lawsuit against them. So I don't see myself recovering 75% of my losses, which is quite significant. And they're like, oh, well, don't the landlords also get the stimuluses and compensation and stuff? And the answer is not necessarily. There's a lot of other overhead costs that we have, and if I was to stop paying the mortgage or the owners of the properties, I would. I have a really good credit score, and I want to protect that, and I have my reputation in the line as well. So I definitely would pay back that 75%, because that same rent moratorium applies to commercial businesses as well. So I technically would only need to pay 25% of the rent from the last year, but I would be held accountable to pay the remaining 75% after that year. And I would be willing to do that, versus these tenants. I don't see them. I see them trying to avoid that. They're not going to be trying to come to me trying to pay it. So yeah, it's and right now I'm like even today I'm trying to look for some grants, COVID grants and stuff today to help.
So now that you said you're in Miami trying to find your next place, do you do you have some funding support behind you, or how does this work for you?
I have savings. So I have savings. I have investors as well, um, and uh, and that's about it. And so and I've been working with some private lenders. So as long as we got the down payment on a property, that's all we need. So the lender is willing to accept the 80% loan to value. So we need 20% down for a property that I find out here. And we're looking at like properties around 1 million to $2 million. So we're able to afford the down payment for that. Mm.
Now, what are your future plans? Do you expect to do this in other cities as well?
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is, I sat back a couple times and just thought, like, where do I want to take this? What do I want to do? And I'd like to, instead of like opening up several locations in each city, I just want to do one big flagship property in each major city. The business model works best in expensive cities, right in the center of the most expensive part of the city, even, because that's when people are willing to share the amenities to save money. Because otherwise, this wouldn't the business model probably would not work as well in a rural area where they could rent a whole house for a couple $100, you know. So I would hope to so I got Los Angeles down, and after Miami, we plan to restabilize in Denver. We had some properties in Denver, but then we let those go. Uh, so we'll reestablish in Denver, and then San Juan, Puerto Rico, for some tax benefits, and then to New York. So I have kind of like a long-term plan in order. Yeah.
And what kind of cap rates are you looking at with these investments?
Well, I calculated like the income that I get from each city has a different criteria on max occupancy. Essentially, the more people I can put into the property, the more income I can get. In Los Angeles, is about around $3 a foot is what I could generate. So it's really based off of the properties. And I've been looking at several different scenarios here in Miami. So one scenario is that I could buy some vacant land and develop it, but it would have to be not in the city center because that's too expensive for my budget. But that would be really cool, and it'd be a really good opportunity to build build one from scratch, because all this time I've been having to adapt existing structure to the co-living model versus building it from the ground up and being very unique. However, the alternative also is to lease. We could continue to lease properties. It's an easy way to do it, but and it's actually more profitable in the short run. But purchasing property is more profitable in the long run. So after 30 years, you're sitting free and clear on some assets. So it could be like a big side business almost to own the property like McDonald's. But it is not necessary because like as long as you run the numbers and you calculate that you're able to make more money from the income than the rent, then it's pretty feasible. And yeah, with renting properties, I can afford kind of a bigger, cooler asset in a local tourist center. And then there's something in the middle where I could buy like a mansion kind of off the side of the main city center and try to promote it to the cool, make cool amenities that can help promote the property.
So how do you go about promoting your business?
We have a couple people working on the marketing and leasing. I even hired, so I've had a virtual assistant working on it for a while, and then I hired a local person to actually help him out too during the COVID. Because before COVID, we had a wait list of people wanting to move in. During COVID, we had a lot of people move out, and not too many people wanting to move in. For understandable when it's a congregate living situation. You don't want to be in the same room with too many people. During COVID. But now it's picking up. We have our higher seasons around May and June, July, where we start picking up anyway. So right now we're almost, I think we're at full capacity except for the female dorm. So we only have a few beds left in the female dorms. But the marketing and leasing, they advertise pretty much across the web. We have a list. I give them a list, and we have a priority of sites that we use. But yeah, we recently updated our website and stuff too. I kind of pivoted to promote the market, the business more now than I was before.
So despite the challenges that you have seen, do you see yourself more into the same business and thriving in the future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think we're already almost recovered fully, and yeah, I see this business model going to be very successful. The only thing, like, there's other people with more funds doing it now, so I'm kind of getting left behind in the dust. If I don't move faster, it's I should have scaled faster. I've been in Los Angeles doing this for over 10 years, and I should have scaled the business model a little bit faster, and I did not. I kind of sat back and enjoyed what I created out there. It was a cool experience, but now I'm in a position where I'm ready to aggressively expand this business and try to keep up with these competitors that are taking over the market.
And in terms of business pivots or changes or evolution, what do you see in the future for this?
Well, like I said, the pivoting of like maybe possibly creating from the ground up would be awesome. And pertaining to other people of shared interest, not just artists. So right now we're going to kind of capitalize on the artist stuff, because that's my passion and that's what we've already been doing. But once we're a little bit more stabilized, I would love to have the opportunity to evaluate what's needed on the market. Maybe there's a lot of digital tech guys that need some sort of facility to collaborate in, or so forth. I mean, the model could even go to seniors, senior housing, where they have shared common rooms of interest and stuff. But then you're kind of entering the world of ALFs and stuff. But it would be different. But just to show, like, maybe fisherman housing, where they have access to a boat in the back and all the resources to fish. So the concept can be just exploded into different concepts, and that's why I feel it's the future of housing. And then not just in that concept, but I could envision in the future, many thousands of years from now, just a huge tower of housing. And so that's kind of like co-living. So maybe instead of having shared rooms and private rooms, they would also have private apartments and stuff in this building. But this building would provide also all the amenities that those people would need. So in the future, you don't have to be driving around town and stuff. Everything's provided to you inside your own building. So that's what I think is going to be the future, where your housing is going to be surrounded by everything you'll need inside the same structure.
That's pretty awesome, Kelvin. Well, thank you so much for sharing your business as well as your business ideas with us. We wish you the very best as you move forward. Hope to see you establish in Miami as well, and the other places that you're looking at. We'll keep an eye out on your business as we move along. So all the best.
Oh yeah, check us out at artisthousing.com and also logicalhousing.com. Shows a lot about the business model there.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you. All right.